Oppo Reno 15 Pro 5G or the Oppo Reno 15 5G? Which one of these two mid-range phones should you get? That's what I'm going to cover in this video and answer that question and help you in that decision. So the Pro version has the better chipset. This is the MediaTek Dimensity 8450, and then we've got the Snapdragon 7 Gen 4 in the non-Pro Reno 15 5G model. With both of the phones, this is what you're going to find included. So we have a Type A to Type C cable, the charger, Super VOC, and this is 80 watts maximum, SIM tray tool, and they both include a clear case here, which offers very good protection. So the back is hard, but the side and the edges of it, which do cover the buttons, is made out of silicone. And then there is a quick start guide and a safety guide. So for the duration of the video, I will be keeping the Pro model on the left, the non-Pro on the right here. So first up, you can see that they have very similar bezels. The design of them, both of them, is pretty much the same, but the non-Pro version does have a bigger screen. So this is 6.59 inches, which is more standard. And then with the Pro model, it's a smaller size. I quite like the size of this one, 6.32 inches. Both of them are AMOLED, so exactly the same screen tech they are using, and they both have optical fingerprint readers. So not ultrasonic, but optical, and they both do work really well. I've had no problems with them, and it seems to work about 9 out of 10 times. Not quite as good as what you would get when using, say, an ultrasonic fingerprint reader. But those are more expensive, and these are mid-range phones here. So front-facing cameras, they are the same. They're 50 megapixels here, and we're running Color OS, so those are some similarities between them. However, the screen brightness is different on both, and as a result, the battery life is a bit different, and the battery capacity is also different. So with the Pro version, we go up to 3600 nits peak, whereas the peak with the non-Pro is 1200 nits only. Now, in direct sunlight, I noticed that both of them, after just a couple of minutes, seem to be around about the same. So even though on paper, the Pro version seems to be so much higher, it's not for that long, and really it kind of evens out. So there's not too much of a difference there. Looking at the back of them, you can see that's the same design language here, the same style. You can just see the Oppo here on the Pro model. So the cameras, there are some similarities. So the zoom camera on them, this is this one right here. That's an 80 millimeter focal length equivalent, 50 megapixels. It's a Samsung JN5. The big difference is the ultra wides. So it's 8 megapixels only on the non-Pro. It's not very good. It does not support 4K, and we get a better 50 megapixel supports 4K video ultra wide sensor with our Pro model. And the main camera on the Pro is 200 megapixels, and it is 50 megapixels with our Reno 15, so the non-Pro model. Now, I will show a camera comparison later in the video. Daylight photos, pretty much exactly the same. Not too much of a difference there apart from the ultra wide. The zoom is pretty much the same. It just really boils down to low light performance and then video. Now, battery capacities, we've got 6,500 with our non-Pro model versus 6,200 with the Pro model. Because it's smaller, it has a smaller capacity, which does make sense. And both have that Super VOC charging at 80 watts. When you look at the design of both of them, they are the same. So on the right-hand side, when looking at the back of them, at least here, there are no ports or anything, no buttons. The buttons are on the right-hand side, so power volume up, made of metal frame, feels very good. Thickness-wise, it is 8.13 with our Pro model and a slightly slimmer here with this one. This is the Twilight Blue, they call it. In fact, it's more of a purple to me. But it is 7.89 millimeters, so a little bit thinner there. But as I said before, I like the smaller size we do get with the Pro model. Up the top here, we do have IR transmitters. You can see slightly different location of them there, and microphones along the top, antenna lines. Down the bottom, we have Type-C ports with no video out, and our loudspeaker, so it's in the earpiece, and down the bottom right here. They both sound the same. They're using the same hardware there, and I believe the same microphones too there as well. So when it comes to the audio later with the camera comparison, I won't bother to actually swap between them because with my testing, they're exactly the same. Over to the cameras now with the Reno 15 and the Reno 15 Pro. So front-facing cameras, they are 4K, 30, and 60 capable. And they're both exactly the same, so 50 megapixel sensor. And as far as quality, to me, they look to be almost identical. There's a very slight difference between them, and that's because of the chipset, the ISP. Now, we do have electronic image stabilization, and this is 0.6, so it's nice and wide. This is not my arm fully extended. This is it fully extended now, and you can see you're able to get quite a bit in this shot. Now, if I go over to the 1x preset, you can see it's quite a bit closer. And this is the standard that you normally get with most phones. So for a mid-range phone here to have this ultra-wide capable front-facing camera, so quite wide, I really do like this. I think it's a great addition, and most phones should have this, so it should be quite a bit wider, so you're able to get so much more in this shot, which is great for vlogging. With rear video, this is where we start to see some differences, especially with the processing now. I've noticed that the cheaper version here, so the 15, the non-Pro, seems to be sharpened up a little bit more. Now this has a 50 megapixel sensor with optical image stabilization, whereas we get 200 megapixels as the main camera with the Pro model here. And I can't swap over to the ultra wide because I started shooting 4K video, and that means that the ultra wide on the cheaper model, the non-Pro, is just 8 megapixels and it doesn't support 4K. So if you need 4K ultra wide video, you got to go for the Pro model there. Now we've got the 3.5 times camera, which I can swap over to now. We'll have a look at the bit of the castle just up here, castle wall. There's just a sliver of it through there, and 3.5 times now with the non-Pro model. And here again, processing slightly different. Maybe they've just tweaked the sharpness up a little bit more on one of them versus the other. And back to those main cameras here, just quick test of the stability as I walk up these stairs. Now I'm not swapping over the audio sources because it's identical. They're using the same hardware, the same microphones, and really you can't tell the difference between it. So instead of me swapping over audio sources, which is going to be a little bit annoying because it's exactly the same, I haven't bothered with it with this side-by-side comparison. So now you can see, yeah, looking very, very similar between both of them. And as I just stated before, there's just some minor processing optimization differences between the two of them in terms of the colors, and the sharpness really is the main thing there. Here is where we have a huge difference. So this is the ultra-wide footage now, so 1080p with the non-Pro versus the 4K with the Pro model. And you see that there's a big difference in the quality and the exposure as well, and just the level of detail that we do get with the Pro model is definitely superior. So if you have a look at this area here of the tree, compare that to the non-Pro version, it's looking quite washed out. Doesn't really look so good. And then the exposure of this area here, you can see, is exposed differently with the non-Pro model, slightly brighter, and it's just lacking those details. So there's a huge difference, big difference there with our ultra wide video performance and the still performance, 50 megapixels versus 8. Over to still. So they are very similar. However, what I've noticed in general is that the Pro model is overexposed slightly more than the non-Pro. So I find that the non-Pro photos tend to look a little bit better, as you can see here. So I've gone from the ultra wide to the main camera. This is 3.5 times zoom. This is our portrait mode. And it seems to be across the board slightly brighter looking photos with our Pro model versus the non-Pro. However, when it comes to low light performance, the Pro model does pull ahead and offers better performance than the non-Pro Reno 15. So both of our phones run ColorOS 16 and Android 16. Now, the performance of them really is the same until you start to multitask. So we have a weaker chipset here with a Snapdragon 7 Gen 4, and both of them have the same amount of RAM. So 12 gigabytes of hardware RAM and 12 gigabytes of this, what they call RAM expansion, which is basically caching. I wouldn't touch this. I would just leave as is because it does help smooth things out a little bit that you may notice when you are using these. So you can see there the difference with the chipset. So the Dimensity, the 8450 is a much better chip. And the storage capacity, I've got 512 with this non-Pro model of the Reno 15, and the Pro has 256. Unfortunately, not the same there. That's just what was sent out to me from Oppo. And when you first power on these phones, quite a bit of bloatware. They need to tone down on this. There is, I think, a slightly excessive amount here, and there are some categories there with more apps, but you can just delete those. It didn't take too long to clean things up. These are the firmware versions I am testing. They're both up to date at the time of this video. And Antutu shows us there's a bit of a difference with our storage speeds, but not really that much. They are quite similar, but the Pro version does pull ahead when it comes to especially the mixed random access, which is an important one for loading games up there, but it won't really affect it that much. What's going to affect it more in the terms of the performance is this right here. So the GPU score quite a bit lower. It's under half here. And you do see this when gaming, that the Pro model has a lot more gaming power. It's also a hotter chipset. Look at the difference in the thermals, running the same exact test for the same time. There is a bit of a difference there. So it's another thing just to bear in mind. If you're not a gamer, maybe you don't need that extra performance. Maybe go then with the non-Pro version. Battery life, a big difference. And this is because of the performance difference here with that Dimensity chipset. So it is higher. Uses more energy, slightly smaller battery as well. The difference is quite a bit bigger than I thought. I was expecting both of them, of course, running at 120 hertz. I thought that they would be a little closer here. So if you want the best battery life, I would go for then the non-Pro version. Again, if you're not a gamer, that's the real reason to do that. Now, charging time on both, a bit of a difference again, even though they're both 80 watts, smaller battery capacity with our Pro version means it charges in a slightly quicker time. We're only talking a couple of minutes though. Both of them are about under 40 minutes or so with the Super VOOC charging, which is not bad. Anything under an hour in my books is good for charging speeds. How about the loudspeakers? So let's have a listen. I'm going to play some non-copyright songs, same track, and I will turn the volume up to 100%. So first the Pro, followed by the non-Pro. So they both sound the same. I believe they're using the same exact speaker hardware with the dual loudspeakers. Gaming here with Wuthering Waves. It is better on the Pro version, and that is just reflecting what we've seen with the Antutu score. So we know that the GPU performance is double, so very obvious and an easy one. If you're intending to game quite a lot and you want the absolute best performance out of these two Reno 15s, you have to really go and get the Pro model. It's the only choice really. So the choice for me is easy. If you game a lot, you want the best ultra-wide camera and 4K ultra-wide video, you have to go for the Pro model. However, if you're not a gamer, you don't really care too much about ultra-wide video or the ultra-wide, and you still get a decent 80mm 3.5 times zoom camera, and you have the same selfie camera, this is the model to get. It also has better battery life than non-Pro model. So I hope this video made the choice a little bit easier for you. If you did like it, please give a thumbs up and think about subscribing for more videos similar to this one from me. Thank you so much for watching.